Yes, people, 12th man is back. Arsenal talk, because we're going to talk a little bit about Arsenal's transfer rumours. And there are quite a lot. In the last couple of days, it's gone mad. Not just for Arsenal, by the way, literally for every club. It looks like we're going to have a busy summer window. As predicted, peeps, as predicted. I don't think it's just going to be Arsenal spending big, but I do think that there's going to be 5 or 6 in the Premier League that are going to go mad. The PSR stuff has held a few clubs back, particularly some in the last few transfer windows. And the best part of a couple of seasons, to be fair, for the last 12 to 18 months, it's been quite hard for January to be busy. It's been very, very difficult for some teams to do anything in the summer, to be fair. And you look at clubs such as Newcastle and Aston Villa who have really struggled in the last couple of windows because of PSR. That now looks to be okay. Now, I'm not sure if it means that everyone's going to be spending massive, but my prediction is that it's going to be quite a busy window. So we're going to talk about that. We're also going to look towards the news of Victor Gyokeres, who everybody knows. I am praying that this is true. There's rumours suggesting that Arsenal have offered him a contract of a 5-year deal. We're going to get more into that. We're going to talk a little bit about Rodrigo and the movements around his happiness at Real Madrid and what Xabi Alonso might be thinking now that he's walked into the door as the new manager. We're going to talk about new contract for Thomas Partey, who I think everybody agrees we want to keep at the club, right? He's been phenomenal for us this season. So we're going to be looking at that. I'm not going to talk too much on the previous season, to be fair, that's just gone. I think we've done enough of that. I think everybody knows it's been a disappointment, but I am going to touch on a couple of bits that I think are interesting moving into next season. Now that we know that things are settled, managers stay in, Birds has come in, players are coming in, some are going. We're going to talk a little bit about what our squad might look like. And what we think our minimum expectation should be, or our realistic targets should be, not just for this summer, but actually for next season. So there's a lot to cram in today. Big up to every single one that's here. Make sure you do me a favor, hit the like button. Make sure you hit subscribe. We are on the way to 50K. And right now, things are moving quickly with you guys. It's been absolutely incredible to see the growth in the last few months in particular. To hit 40K was crazy. And we're flying because we've nearly hit a couple of thousand since then. So please make sure you do hit like and subscribe. It means absolutely everything to the channel, and it does help it grow massively. A lot of people, when you watch content creators, always roll their eyes. Oh, they're asking me to hit like and subscribe again. The reason that we do that is because it really does allow the channel not just to grow, but people to actually look and reach out to us more. So it just helps massively when we are looking to try and grow the channel. Let's please show some love to Football Prizes, because they are our sponsors at the moment. It's a mega Arsenal competition. And because it's an Arsenal show, it's one that I need to let you guys know about. It's a great opportunity for Gooners and Thierry Henry, probably the greatest player for the club, if not everybody's favourite player for the club. Signed shirt, 99 pence a ticket. There's literally only just under 2 weeks left. Let's make sure that we get this sorted, people. If you win this, please let me know, because I've had a couple of people that have won but didn't tell me at the time, and would have loved to have known. So please get involved in this. Literally not even £1 to get your ticket entered in with a prize for this. So please, let's get the Thierry Henry signed shirt. And if you are lucky, please tell me, because I know someone on Lee Judge's channel won once. One on here has won once. One on Tom Canton's, I think on Harry's as well. So please make sure that you do let us know if you are successful for that, because I'd love to know. It would be great. Okay, let's get into it, shall we? Because a lot of people are now joining, thinking, what have I missed? What's happened? What's happened? We have not signed Victor Gyokeres yet, but we are massively interested from what reports are suggesting. And it does sound as if Victor Gyokeres is the guy. Now, there's been a lot of tug and war, it seems, from the fan base about Victor Gyokeres, Benjamin Sesko. Is there a Julian Alvarez being mentioned? Do we go for Hugo Ekitike or Delap, or do we go all out for Isak? All these names have been thrown around. Once I realised Isak wasn't going anywhere, it's always been Victor Gyokeres for me. Everybody knows my thoughts on him. Everyone knows that I'm a huge fan. Everyone knows that I go on and on about him. And it does sound like now Victor Gyokeres is the guy that Arsenal want. News reports in the last, few hours, I suppose, however wherever you're reading this from, or listening to this from, um, Victor Gyokeres. Please, please, please. It says that Arsenal have offered Gyokeres a 5-year contract as they look to secure his signature. Now, we know that we've been linked with him for some time. We know that he is not the only one being looked at by Arsenal, that literally we're not the only club looking at him, shall I say. He is massively linked with us. And Andrea Berta, we believe, is a massive fan. Now, if Andrea Berta can work his magic here, we might be able to get a fantastic centre forward. Now, I really hope and pray that this comes to fruition, because I've been a big, big believer in Victor Gyokeres. I believe that the last few seasons has proven not just that he's a bagsman, but he can actually score goals of all types. He is good in the box. He's good outside the box. His ball carrying attributes are superb. He can score all sorts of goals. He's good in the air. He's actually quite good at link-up play. And some people, I think, sometimes say that's not one of his attributes. I actually disagree. I've seen some of the games that he's played where he's been vital and pivotal to goals they've scored that didn't end up in the back of the net through him. I do believe this would be the signing that takes Arsenal to the next level. And if I'm honest with you, if I could sign anybody, he would be the one right now that I would take. And I would take him over some of the others that we've been linked with. The Nico Williams links, there's the Rodrigo links, there's the Zubamendi links, of course, all very exciting players. However, this is the one. This is the one for me. He is flying. Now, people say to me, what is so impressive about scoring in the Portuguese league? I always say the same thing. There's two things I'll say about that, right? I don't see anybody else getting over 50 goals and assists in that league. If somebody knows of one, please let me know. I don't see anybody else that's scoring that amount of goals in his league, backing up what he's done in England previously, backing up the fact that he's already scoring goals in the Europa League and the Champions League as well. I must say, I do feel like there is not really much of a risk now in getting in somebody like Victor Gyokeres, because he's literally worth the punt, right? People say to me it's always a risk signing players. Absolutely it is. It's always a risk whoever we're going to sign now. I don't think you can look and say that Victor Gyokeres would be less of a risk than so-so or more of a risk than so-so, because they're all risks, aren't they? Yeah? Any signing you take is going to be a risk. It's about going for one that's an absolute no-brainer. And this, for me, is a no-brainer. Now, some people look at Darwin Núñez and try to compare. If you look at the profile of both of them, they ain't nothing like each other. Darwin Núñez in front of goal is a disaster for Liverpool. Victor Gyokeres has not been a disaster for club, country, Champions League games, Europa League games, Sporting or Coventry. He has scored goals wherever he's been. Now, people will say that he come from Brighton and it didn't work out for him then. He was young. I think he was 21. He scored a couple of goals. They went with other prospects. He then moved on to Coventry, absolutely smashed it, went to Sporting Lisbon and was phenomenal. And I just want to share a couple of stats with you here, because people talk about, oh, he wasn't fantastic. He wasn't that great. Let's calm down. It's a farmers league. Let's just bring up what he's doing. Yeah. Let's not muck around here. Let's just say it how it is. This is what we're talking about from Victor Gyokeres here. This is this season, okay? In 52 games, he scored 54 goals. And alongside that has got 13 assists. So we're talking about 67 goals and assists in just 52 games. 39 league goals, 8 assists. 6 goals out of only 8 played in the Champions League. 5 in the Cup, 4 in the other Cup. He is absolutely flying. And then people will say, yeah, well, what did he do the season before that? Well, let's take a look. Because if I'm honest with you, it's just as impressive. This season, he's got even better. But let's take a look at the season before that. Because the season before that, he was flying also. Yeah? This guy's a bagsman. Absolute bagsman. 43 goals in 50 games and 15 assists alongside it. So to get 58 goals and assists in just 50 games is phenomenal. I don't know anybody that's got over 100 goals and assists in 2 seasons of the last 2. We've got to be looking at like Ronaldo and Messi stats. Yeah? This is what he's doing. Now, I know it's not in the La Liga and it's not in Champions League, and let's calm down. I'm not saying he's Ronaldo or Messi. But what I will say is that the stats are proving that he's the guy right now across Europe who is the one, the benchmark, the one to try and keep up with in terms of scoring. 29 league goals again this season, 9 assists, 5 in the Europa League last season. Sorry, this is last season. 5 in the Europa League in just 9, 6 in the Cup, 4 assists, and then 3 in the other Cup. So basically, he's scored every opportunity in every competition. There's not one competition he's gone into yet where he hasn't scored a goal for Sporting Lisbon. Again, we saw the other night. I know it was a penalty and people say penalties don't count. Guess what, people? Yes, they do. If you score a penalty and you win 1-0, the referee doesn't go, it's 0-0 actually, that didn't count. You win the game 1-0. When you get a penalty, you've still got to score the damn thing, yeah? So when people say to me he's got 15 penalty goals, brilliant, because that's what we need in the team. We need someone on set pieces. We've realised this season that Declan Rice might be that guy to take our free kicks. If we've got Victor Gyokeres in the side that's taking penalties, anytime we get a free kick or a penalty for the first time in the best part of a decade, I've got a chance of thinking we might score it. When was the last time we had an opportunity where we had a penalty where we just thought, yeah, we ain't missing that? Not many, is there? Yeah? So I look at it, I've got to be realistic when I say that I'm excited about this. I'm excited because I believe that Victor Gyokeres is a guy that can absolutely take us to the next level. And the amount of times that people have said to me, yeah, Mikel Arteta this, Mikel Arteta that. Forget Mikel Arteta at the moment. Let's look at what we have got right now. We've got Kai Havertz and Gabriel Jesus as our 2 strikers. At the back end of this season, it's been a toss-up between Trossard and Mikel Merino. And this is us in phase 5, trying to win trophies. We do not have a striker, a proper, prolific number 9, a proper bagsman, a 20 to 30 goal a season striker. Now, people say, who else has got that? Well, the teams that have won in the last few, the teams that have scored the 20 to 30 goals a season. Because this season it was Salah. Season before that, it's been Haaland. Most of the seasons before that, it's been Haaland. Then you take you back to decades when it was Thierry Henry for us, Ruud van Nistelrooy for Manchester United, Wayne Rooney. Even when Blackburn won it, they had Alan Shearer. Whenever I've seen a team that has delivered, has been a striker or a forward that has got them between 20 to 25 goals a season. Robin van Persie at Arsenal, Manchester United was scoring that amount of goals. When you look at what Dwight York and Andy Cole were doing years ago, Sergio Aguero, what was he doing? Let's just say how it is. Teams that have won stuff have all had absolute bagsmen up top. So if this is going to be a true report and Gyokeres is signing a 5-year deal at Arsenal, boy, I pray. The guy's 26 years old and he's delivering. Now, why I've been a fan of him over Benjamin Sesko is quite clear. People think I hate on Benjamin Sesko. I don't really watch enough of him. But when I've watched him and Gyokeres, and I've watched them at both the same amount of games, I've seen Gyokeres maybe a little bit more because, well, I've had more football to watch over the last 3 years for Coventry and Sporting Lisbon. When I've seen Benjamin Sesko for club and country, I haven't been massively impressed. That doesn't mean he's a bad player, and it doesn't mean he'd be a flop at Arsenal. But at 20, he's kind of a project player. And I appreciate he'd probably score more goals than Kai Havertz. And I also appreciate that he'd probably be an upgrade and allow us to win games. But does he allow us to win titles? Is he ready now? Is he now the next to get us across the line signing? I don't know that he is. I'm not going to be massively throw my toys out the pram if we sign him, but I will be very upset if we sign him over Victor Gyokeres and I see Gyokeres go to a Chelsea or a Liverpool or a Manchester United. The only club I would absolutely understand him going to over us is Barcelona. If he went there and he upgraded on Lewandowski and took over from him, I couldn't say, do you know what? I'd have to say hats off. But if he goes to Manchester United over Arsenal, or he dares choose Chelsea over us, or if he does go to Liverpool, I'll genuinely be really frustrated and really upset because we should be able to be in that position to offer him first team football, to offer him Champions League football, to offer him a chance of winning silverware in one of the majors. And I do believe that that will get us closer. Whether or not it will get us across the line, I don't know. But that is definitely the one to get you as close can be for a Premier League or a Champions League. I don't want to see anybody saying that Gyokeres is not going to be the guy, because that for me would just be being blind. The guy's been scoring and delivering for ages. It would be stupid not to take a punt on this. Absolutely stupid. Now, I don't know what the fee is, but apparently they're suggesting it to be around about 65 M's, which is what we paid for Havertz. And trust me, he isn't going to be want to put on 290k a week. And that's a nice segue onto Havertz now and what happens with him. I can't lie to you. I have huge concerns over what's going to happen with Kai Havertz this coming season. It's not because I think he might leave, because I would happily allow him to leave, but I would like him to stay as a rotation piece. My problem I've got is he's on 290k a week and we paid 65 million for him. Now, I'm actually not one of these guys who believes that the Cronkies are pointing the finger at Arteta saying, make it work, make it work. I don't think the Cronkies are that much involved in it. I don't think they really know whether Havertz has been good or not, if I'm honest, right? But I think this signing has put a massive, massive stumbling block over what we do now. Now, there's two fears I've got. My fear is that Havertz stays as the striker and Sesko comes in as the rotational piece and they flip. My other concern is we do get Gyokeres and Havertz drops into midfield. I don't want to see any of that happening. That for me will prove we don't have the right people in charge, because that is just not moving us forward. That is keeping us at the same. And I think that Havertz being a rotational piece is what we've got to now move forward with. Kai Havertz was brought in as the 8. It didn't work. He moved to the 10 and he preferred Ødegaard there. Then he went to the 9. And do you know what? He did a job there at the back end of last season and at the start of this season. I think he got 14 league goals last season and 9 this season. And to be fair to him, he was injured for 4. So he definitely has come in and contributed. But is Havertz good enough to start every game for Arsenal? No. Is Havertz good enough to go into that next level and get us across the line? I don't think so. And as much as he's one-off games for Arsenal and for Chelsea and big moment games where he won Champions Leagues, I don't think Kai Havertz can sit there in that team weekly consistently saying, I'm your 20 goal a season bagsman. He ain't for me. He ain't for me. And a lot of people will suggest that that is a massive kind of disrespect to Kai Havertz. I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I'm trying to give my opinion on what I believe Kai Havertz to be, and I think he's a rotational piece. I don't think that he is a guy that you rely upon week in, week out to get you your goals. And I think he's proven that. If you lined up now Arsenal's 1 to 11, a lot of people will be able to tell you, even if they don't support Arsenal, what your 1 to 11 is, right? Kai Havertz is the weakest part of the puzzle, in my opinion. If you were to line up Raya, back 4, midfield, front 3, I'd say Kai Havertz is the weak link. And he's the one that's most easily upgradable. And I was asked yesterday on the terrace, if you could swap your weakest player and for your club legend, what would you do? And I'd say, well, I'd take Havertz out and put Thierry Henry in. It's obvious for me. I wasn't thinking about Pires for Martinelli. I wasn't thinking about bringing in Ashley Cole for Lewis-Skelly. I straight away, boom, Henry for Havertz. And that for me just shows that Havertz is the guy we need to upgrade on. And it has been a poor signing for Arteta. Not because of how poor he's been in terms of that's the worst shambolic signing. I can't even see him kick a football. He's dreadful. He's the worst I've seen. It's a massive, massive L because of the amount of money that we've spent on him and the amount we've given him weekly, which is now going to have a knock-on effect to what we try to do moving forward. And it's not just signing players and bringing them in. It's trying to keep players here. And they're looking over there thinking, this is the guy on 290. I want 350 then. That's what's going to have to happen now. So for me, I think we've got to be very, very careful with what happens with Kai Havertz, man. Very, very careful. Big up to Rance Raid, man. Big up to Rance. Absolute legend, man. Really appreciate you, bro. Big up to Rance. Make sure you're smashing the like on Rance's channel, man. Go show him some love, man. Absolute legend. I appreciate all of you for coming over. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe. There's over 2,000 people in here, which is mad. So please do me a favor and hit the like and subscribe, people. For the news of Victor Gyokeres, who looks like he's coming to Arsenal. Now, this is, of course, rumours. We don't know. It's not come from David Ornstein, who people see as most reliable. It's not come from Sammy Mokbel or Ben Jacobs or Romano. They've all linked him heavily with us. They've all suggested that Arsenal are massively in for him. They have also said that Berta has been doing the work in the background to try and get Victor Gyokeres to sign for Arsenal. And it does sound like now, news reports today, is that Arsenal have offered Gyokeres a 5-year contract as they look to secure his signature. We believe it's in the region of around about £65 million. Let's pray, people, because that for me is an unbelievable signing if it comes to fruition. I think Victor Gyokeres will probably, this is what I believe, right? Before I move on from it, this is what I believe. I think he comes in and I think he gets 20 goals for Arsenal, right? Bare minimum. Then what I think he does, I think he ends up in everyone's fantasy team. That's what I think. You know, like Haaland, it was like, oh, we'll see what he does first. Goal, goal, goal. Right, get him in. I think that's what will happen with Victor Gyokeres. Might be wrong. Might be a flop. You never know with signings. Could be. Anything can happen in football. For me, this has to happen because I do not think this is going to be a flop. I think it will be a phenomenal signing. I really do. Big up to all the Rants Raids. Big up to all of you guys. I see you in the chat. Make sure if you're new, hit the subscribe button. Big up to you people. We've got 2.3K in here, which is absolutely mad. So big up to all you guys. Much love. I really appreciate it. And yeah, please make sure you show some love. Okay. Let's take a look at the next bit of news, shall we? Let's just ban this moron in the chat first. Get rid of him. Okay. Marv with the super chat. Legend. Big up, Dan. With Gyokeres, there's no competition that phases him. And do you know what? The stats have just proven that. The stats have just proven that he scores in every single competition that he's been in. Whether it's Champions League, Europa League, Portuguese Cups, Portuguese League, Coventry took them single-handedly to a playoff final, scoring, I think it was 27 goals for them in the championship, which people might laugh at. But let's not laugh too loud because I remember there being a lot of players from the championship, that came to the Premier League that everybody wanted. Whether it was Ivan Toney, whether it was Mitrovic, who was both scoring back then, whether you go back a little bit further to the likes of Jack Grealish, whether you look at the likes that have come from Palace now, like Eze and Elise and Adam Wharton and Roman S, who's just come from Millwall. You've got players coming from the championship now, which people are looking at going, don't know much about them, and they're absolutely flying. So I personally do believe that there's a great amount of respect to be had for the championship now. I think the level was completely changed to what it was years ago. And as much as I feel this season it's been embarrassing for the relegation zone, I do feel like there's some quality in the championship now, and the level is a lot better than it ever has been. So that's where I'm at. So there we go. Thoughts on a 7-team continental cup featuring the best 11 from each of the 7 continents? Wow, that'd be amazing, wouldn't it? Imagine that. That'd be class. If that's true, I'd love to see it. Love to see it. That would be absolutely brilliant. So yeah, let's see what happens and comes to fruition there. I think that'd be exceptional to watch. That really would. I think you see some top quality on there. That's for sure. Okay. So the Gyokeres situation is one that we're excited about. It's one that we're all here for. It's one that we all want. And I hope and I pray, I hope and I pray that there's a scenario where we hear very, very soon, here we go. That's the one I want. Here we go. We hear about contracts being offered. We hear about him interested. I did see that he had an interview after the Sporting Lisbon game, which basically said, let's see. What about Arsenal? Let's see in the summer. He didn't poo-poo it. He made it quite clear he was going. I don't think it was an interview that you could read too much into to suggest that Arsenal's the club for him. I do believe there's going to be other clubs in for him. I don't think Chelsea, United and Barcelona will look at that player and go, don't want him. But I think it's Arsenal that are pushing for him the hardest. So let's see what happens there. We'll move on as well because there's other players that we've been linked with already. Alongside Zubamendi and, of course, Gyokeres, Rodrigo is the next name. Now, I've got to be honest with you on this one. My gut tells me that he might still remain at Real Madrid. Xabi Alonso has literally just arrived and he's made it quite clear, apparently, that he has got a future at Real Madrid should he want one. Now, it's going to be down to Rodrigo, this. Is he happy at Real Madrid? He wants to play left wing from what we know, and they play him on the right because, of course, they've got Mbappe and Vinny that play across the front three with him. Not that he's poor there. I actually think he's exceptional there, and he can do a job on the right-hand side. And I think that's what Arsenal needs, someone who can play both right and left for if Saka was to go down. We all know that we want a left winger who's going to upgrade on Martinelli and Trossard. A lot of people are suggesting one of those may go. It sounds at the moment like both of them might actually stay at Arsenal, should Trossard sign his new extension, and should Martinelli be happy to stay at Arsenal also. We do need strength in depth. I wouldn't be against both of them staying. People say we've got to get rid of one of them. Well, we haven't got to. Let's be real. Trossard can play across the front three. Martinelli can actually as well. And if Rodrigo was to come in on the left and Saka was on the right, if we was to get that Gyokeres type striker, we've got Martinelli, Trossard. to, along with Ethan, to back it up. With Havertz, with Jesus. So it doesn't actually mean, oh my God, we've got too many players there. Don't get me wrong. Some of them are definitely not good enough for first team, but you need a squad, right? So that's where I'm at. But it does seem like there's kind of a way to go for this deal for it to happen. Now, Goal Side is quite a reliable, popular source. And this is saying that Rodrigo's currently has no concrete offers on the table to leave Real Madrid, while Arsenal's interest is genuine. A transfer isn't close at the moment. Now, that has come from a few sources today as well, suggesting that at the moment there's nothing concrete. It looks like Arsenal are seriously interested. Chelsea are looking at it as well. But right now, it looks as though he could be staying at Real Madrid. Now, if there was an opportunity, he's the guy we've got to go for. I've said this quite some time. Yeah. If there's an opportunity and Alonso says, no, he can go, which at the moment looks like he's saying he can stay. But if there is an opportunity that he goes, for me, I would absolutely love him. He's the number one for me as terms of a left winger. Gyokeres we've spoken about. Yeah. If you're just joining, go check it out from what we've just spoken about. For me, my next one that I want is Rodrigo. And Rodrigo, for me, has a lot of quality. 24 years old, done everything in club and country. I think for me, he's been phenomenal for Real Madrid. And I think he's actually outperformed this season the other two. I will say that. I think, I did a combined 11 when we played them a few months ago with Dave. And he said, Rodrigo's been better than the other two this season. And I think he's fair to say that. I think he's been fantastic. And you look at the goals that he scores. He can score on the right-hand side, but he has actually brought himself over to the left a couple of times and put some absolute bangers in. So I've got to be honest, I think that he would be a phenomenal signing. Is he staying at Real Madrid? I have a gut feeling he might, if I'm honest. I have a gut feeling that he might. And if I'm honest, it would disappoint me because I've been kind of a little bit hyped by it, that he might actually think about coming to the Arsenal. But let's just be real. It's going to take a lot of money. The rumours are 100 million euros, which actually is a steal when you think of the quality of the player you're getting. 24-year-old Brazilian international, played for Real Madrid, won everything for Real Madrid. 85 million pounds is nothing. When you look, we've paid 65 for Havertz, yeah? And in the past, we've paid 72 for Pepe. You look at this signing and think, this would be marquee. This would be the times where Wenger bought Ozil, where Wenger bought Alexis Sanchez, where we went and signed Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. These are the marquee signings we haven't really had yet. We haven't really had one of those. Like Declan Rice was a lot of money, but when it's a central defensive midfielder, you don't quite get that elite marquee. Wow, elite! He's going to take us across the line. I think up here he probably will, and certainly with his free kick and a bit and technical ability at times he will. But I don't think that we're going to look at him and go, he's the 20 goal a season bagsman. He's the X factor. I don't know that he is. I think he's a very good player. But when you're bringing in these players from Sporting Lisbon and from West Ham, and even from like the likes of Dortmund, etc., Athletic Bilbao, these kind of clubs, you're not going up and nicking Real Madrid's players like we did with Ozil. You're not going to Barca and nicking Alexis Sanchez. So that for me would be the first of Arteta's marquee signings if we was to go and get Rodrigo. That's the one. Yeah. I mean, people are saying, oh, bro's hyping a mid Rodrigo. Rodrigo is not mid. Rodrigo is a top player. Top player. So for those thinking that Rodrigo is not a very good footballer, go and take a look at him again, man. Go and take a look at him again. Trust me. He's a very, very good player. But if that is not going to happen, and there's going to be a scenario where we can't get Rodrigo because, it looks as if he's staying, there's rumours that Andrea Berta is looking at this guy. Now, I have a few concerns over this one. Not because I don't rate him, but I'll tell you why I think this could be a little bit of a question mark. So Arsenal sporting director Berta has held talks with AC Milan winger Rafael Leao in a bid to persuade him to move to the Premier League this summer. Now, I spoke to Mo about this yesterday. He's obviously an Inter Milan fan. And he says he thinks that Rafael Leao is better than Rodrigo, right? Now, I disagree. I think Rodrigo's better, right? However, he said Rodrigo would be the better signing because this guy's mentality is all over the place. He throws a wobbler, throws his toys out the pram, has an attitude problem, is a nightmare in the dressing room. He's really hard to please. He becomes a little bit of a problem. And I just don't know that we need that at the moment. Now, don't get me wrong. I think Rafael Leao, when he's on fire, is quality. And from what I see, he's superb. And me and Curtis and DG have had a little bit of a kind of disagreement, I suppose, or a difference of opinion about this. I don't particularly want Rafael Leao. They would love him. They think he'd be fantastic. I have my doubts. He's going to be a lot of money. Now, AC Milan, I don't think they even got into the Conference League, did they? Let alone the Champions League this season in Serie A. They had a poor season. So I think there's a few signings there or players there that I think could be quite available in the summer. Now, the one that I would want from AC Milan is Reinders. It looks like Manchester City are getting him. He's going to be a phenomenal signing. Absolutely phenomenal. He's such a good player. I think if you want a box-to-box midfielder or someone with the kind of all-round athleticism and that kind of 8 role, as people like to call it, he'd be my number one. I'd get him ahead of Rodgers. I'd get him ahead of some of the others. The only player, let me put it this way, the only player I'd want in that position ahead of Reinders, would be like a Bruno Gomares level, Vitinha, Pedri, Barella, these sort of guys. That's how highly I rate Reinders. I think he's going to be unbelievably good. But from AC Milan, it doesn't look like it's him we're linked with. We're now linked with Rafael Leao. Now, I know for a fact we want a left winger. We've been linked with Nico Williams for God knows how long. I've seen rumours of Jamie Gittins. I've seen rumours of Mitoma. We've seen rumours of Semenyo. I think there's been rumours of Brian Mbeumo, even though he's a right winger, and Cunha previously, right, to play there. So we definitely want a left-sided winger. And to be fair, Mikel Arteta has wanted a left-sided winger since we tried to put in a bid for Midrick and ended up with Trossard 2 years ago. Yeah. Rafael Leao has got some good attributes. Do not get me wrong. I think his strength, definitely, 100%. He looks brilliant with. But I don't know that he's had the best of seasons. I look at Martinelli's stats. I think he's got 8 goals in the Premier League. Rafael Leao's got 8 goals in La Liga. 8 assists. So, not unbelievably bad. You know, Rafael Leao is now 25 years old. I'm looking at his stats now. He first came onto the scene in COVID. He got 6 goals, 1 assist, 6 goals the following season. The next 2 in a row, he had good seasons where he got 11 goals and then 15 goals in 22-23. And then he scored 9 and then 8. Now, I know it's not all about goals and assists, but sometimes you have to look at what they're doing and how they're performing for their club. And I don't think there's really a kind of excitement and an aura of excitement for me around like Rafael Leao. Like I think there was a couple of years ago when he first burst onto the scene in his early 20s. I thought, yeah, this guy looks like he could be the real deal. And I don't think he's ever really taken off from there, if I'm honest. Now, people might think I'm mad when I say this, but I'm going to say it, and it might be an unpopular opinion, right? But I think if we're going to go for a left winger and it isn't Rodrigo, the next on my list is probably Ademola Lookman. From what I understand, Lookman got into the team of the season again. I think he's had a good season at Atlanta. We saw the season before he got a hat-trick in the Europa League final and won it with them. I know he's Premier League proven and people might look at that and laugh at it because he wasn't really Premier League proven. He didn't really settle into any of the sides. But I think he would be a good player. I've got to be honest. I like everything that I hear and see about him. And I've said that I'd rather have him over Nico Williams. I'd rather have him over Mitoma. As much as I like Mitoma, and by the way, that was definitely goal of the season that he scored this season. I thought the touch was exquisite. I don't look at Mitoma and think, wow, you're going to get 15, 20 goals from the left. I think Lookman could actually get a lot of goals for Arsenal. I really do. And I'm a fan. I just like him. So I think that would be a really good choice if we don't go and get Rodrigo, who of course is my number one. If Rodrigo's not for sale, we have to move on, right? And there's nothing wrong with trying to ask about the availability of players. None of this, like, we don't have the ambition to go and, put our nuts on the table and say we want him. Like, go and do it. Go and say, I want, Rodrigo, we'll give you 100 million euros. What you're saying. That, for me, shows the ambition. It's like with managers, where you sack your manager. Let's say that Ange Postecoglou is about to leave. Tottenham going up to, Xavi shows ambition. Tottenham going up to Zidane shows ambition. Now, Zidane and Xavi might go, no, thank you. And hopefully they would, right? But at least they've shown the ambition. I always say that about players. Go and try and get this player. Why do you believe that wasn't the case? And this is what I said about Kvaratskhelia. in January, who, by the way, has happened to put out Liverpool, Aston Villa, Arsenal, and could put out Inter Milan to win the Champions League with that signing. And I would look at that as allowing them to win that trophy and win what they have won since they bought him, because that was how important it was. I said back in January, the two players I want are Kvaratskhelia and Isak. Now they've become unavailable, you go to the next ones, which are Gyokeres and Rodrigo. If they become available, you go to the next one. So for me, when I look at it, you have to have that kind of plan A, plan B, plan C. But you always have to start with that plan A. You don't want to sit there and say, not sure, not sure. I don't think they want to come. I hate stuff like that, man. I hate stuff like that. Listen, there's 2.7K in here, people. And unfortunately, we haven't even got to 600 likes, which is crazy. Make sure you hit the like button and subscribe. There are two buttons that are free. Let's do this now. Please make sure you help the channel. It massively helps it grow and continue to grow. We want to get up to 50K, which is the next. So please make sure that we can do that, people. Big up to you. I appreciate that. Okay, what else have we got here in the chat? Because there's a couple of others that have come in with super chats now. Okay, Shaitanya, big up to you, my bro. Shaitanya says Gyokeres, Rodrigo, Eze or Cherky, Hato, Garcia, Zubamendi. Now that's a proper window. That's what will get us the title. Love it. Love it. Gyokeres, absolutely. Rodrigo, yes. Eze, 100%. I like Ryan Cherky, but I would take Eze. Hato, I think, definitely comes in for Kivior if he goes. John Garcia, I think, looks like he wants first-team football, but if we can get in a goalkeeper that's going to be like that level, brilliant. And Zubamendi. What's that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah. I mean, some people might say we might need to look at Brian and Mbeumo on top of that coming in for Saka. Some people might say we need another midfielder that's going to come in. But if I'm honest with you, I think that's being picky. That would be a tremendous window. So I'm with you, Shaitanya. That would be unbelievable. Let's see how many we get. Mr. Big P says, although we clearly need an upgrade on Martinelli, don't you find it a bit frustrating that all the available options have worse numbers than him? That is a great point, by the way. And this is what I mean about Martinelli. People say that Martinelli's done. Martinelli's, like finished. He's done at Arsenal. He hasn't developed. Martinelli is actually, believe it or not, one of our top scorers this season. Now, I know that doesn't say a lot because he's only got 8 goals. But in the last few months, he's been one of our best players, I think. Certainly in terms of going forward. In an attack that's absolutely dead at the moment, that's blunt as a spoon, I think Martinelli has been one that's actually provided some good glimpses of his attributes. I do think that he can play down the middle more. I was frustrated he missed against Ramsdale at the weekend. I thought he should have put that away. I don't think he's a bad finisher, if I'm honest. But I do feel like Martinelli, there needs to be an upgrade on him now. And I don't think he's developed into the player we wanted him to. Saka has absolutely, at leaps and bounds, cleared in terms of development of Martinelli. So I'm a fan of him, but we need an upgrade on him. That's for sure. I highlighted this comment as well. I'll do it in a minute, actually, because this is just coming from Cliff. Big up to you, bro. I hope you're well. Sign whoever, no expectations, as long as Arteta is the gaffer. Now, I want to touch on this very quickly with you, Cliff, because there's a lot of people that are now down and deflated about this season. No matter who we sign, Arteta, he ain't good enough. Well, do you know what? At least let's get the signings in so that we can decide that. Because as much as you and I believe that Mikel Arteta is not the right guy to get us across the line, he will not have nowhere to hide and no excuses if we have a brilliant window. If we have a shocking window, then all of the excuses will come out. Well, he can't win anything because look at the window. Look at the squad. It's terrible. We've had a poor window again. They've not given him the tools and all those debates will happen again. So I hope we have a brilliant window so there literally is an answer to who the issue is at Arsenal. I highlighted this because I wanted to mention this. Why is nobody thinking about going for Jarrod Bowen? I'm not saying Arsenal should make him our main striker. I'm not even saying that we should have him as backup to Saka, but I would take him in a heartbeat. I think he is the most underappreciated and underrated player in the Premier League. The guy has been balling out and scoring goals left, right and centre. Now, I think he'll probably want to stay at West Ham because he's pretty much allowed his family to be massive Hammers. He's a massive fan. He seems to love West Ham. He's captain of the club. They all love him. He's a fan's favourite. But I'm absolutely surprised that no one's gone for him before now. And I'm not just talking about Arsenal. I'm thinking Liverpool. I'm thinking Chelsea. I'm even talking about, the likes of Newcastle who need a right winger at the moment. Why are they not going for him? Like, Jarrod Bowen, for me, is a very good player. If I was to pick a kind of Premier League 11, he'd be one that I'd look at for players that were realistic outside of the top sort of 5 or 6 clubs, yeah? Alongside the likes of Cunha, who's now leaving, Mitoma's being mentioned, Brian and Mbeumo, Eze, Bowen would be in that category for me. When you look at the likes of him, Baleba and Adam Wharton in the midfield, these are the sort of players I'm looking at thinking, yeah, I can see why players are going to go for them. No one mentions Bowen ever. Why? Why do we not mention Jared Bowen? Like, it's crazy for me. I think he's a very good player. And he's caused us problems as well, by the way. Yeah, he scored goals against Arsenal over the years, and he's been pivotal. Declan Rice's best mate as well. So, just saying. Just saying. This one comes in, says, I don't know how to measure Serie A players. Lukaku, McTominay, Pulisic, Damian, Moise Keane, and McKennie are killing it there. Yeah, look, I'm not going to lie to you. In other leagues, sometimes players that did not do well over here can sometimes kill it. I think when you look at the players that are performing in Serie A, particularly at Napoli, that is all to do with Antonio Conte. Lukaku, McTominay, Phil Billing, Billy Gilmore, these are guys that have just won a Serie A. And they did nothing in the Premier League. Some of them were absolute flops at top clubs like United and Chelsea. So when I look at it, that for me is a massive, massive Antonio Conte factor. I've got to be real with you people. I've got to be real. So that could be interesting. I wanted to close on this as well because it does sound like we are trying our very, very best to get Thomas Partey signed on a contract extension. And if I'm honest with you, I would absolutely love him to stay. I think he's been consistent. He's been our best midfielder this season. I think there's been games where he's been phenomenal. There's been games where we've missed him when he's not been in that midfield. And I do like Rice in the 6. I actually do prefer him there, but I do believe that Partey not being there has a huge effect on Arsenal's midfield. When we have to play him at right back, you can see the balance is wrong. Again, at the weekend when he played there, we missed him in midfield. And I don't think that we're going to get anybody that's better than him. Now, even Zubamendi, who's coming in, has got some unbelievably gifted technical ability, and the attributes are great. But is he Thomas Partey? I don't know that he is, I don't know that he is. Like, I really don't think that he is Thomas Partey. Thomas Partey does not get spoken about enough. Real talk, he does not. Like, Thomas Partey, I think in the Premier League right now, other than Rodri, who else is there in that 6 that you go, boom, he's the next one? Thomas Partey is right up there. People might mention Caicedo, but he's playing in more of a box-to-box. Lavia hasn't played enough games. Ryan Gravenberch has been good, but only for this season. Who else have we got in the positions that you can mention? The likes of Casemiro, who looks like he's done. Tonali, maybe. I would say probably Tonali and Bruno are the other two. But other than that, like, this guy's been ridiculously good. Like, ridiculously good. So I think we have to offer him a new deal. It sounds like he wants to stay put with his family. He's going to shirk off interest from Saudi and from other interest across Europe. I think Barcelona and Juventus were actually looking at him one stage. And he wants to stay at Arsenal. I would absolutely love him to stay at Arsenal. If we was to lose him, I don't know how we replace him. I don't think Zubamendi or Rice actually do replace him. I think he's been that good. And you look at him against Real Madrid in the home leg. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Unbelievable. Give him the year with the option of another year, and let's see if he signs it. Even if he wants to stay on 200 and whatever it is a week. You only get rid of players when they've come to an end. And Thomas Partey has not come to an end with Arsenal, in my opinion. The guy's 30. It's not like he's 35. This guy could probably go on and play to that age, to be fair. I think he's got the footballing brain for it. You know, when some guys just keep going, like Luka Modric and Xabi Alonso did. I don't look at Thomas Partey and think, yeah, you know what? You look like you've got a year left in you, if that. And he has had injuries problems, to be fair to him. But this season, I think he's proven his fitness. I think he's been absolutely phenomenal. I think it would be really bad if we got rid of him. I really do. So for me, it absolutely has to be Thomas Partey signing an extension. I don't think there's any other option, personally. I'm a big, big fan of him. Big, big fan. Now, we've obviously lost Jorginho. Zubamendi's going to come in. I imagine Zubamendi will start and Partey will, maybe Partey will start, Zubamendi will mould in, and we have Partey as backup, whatever. Rice is going to be that box-to-box player, and we're going to have the likes of Marino, potentially Ethan, some of the other players there. I'm still not sure about that position personally. I like Rice a lot. I think he's brilliant, but I'm still not sure about the balance of our midfield there. But the player we have to really see most of next season is Erdegaard. That's the player that once we see the balance of what he's, once we see the improvement of him, we'll start to see the balance. Now, I've got a question for you guys. If we bring in Gyokeres, if we bring in one of our left wingers we've spoken about today, does that improve the likes of Martin Odegaard? Does that allow there to be an option of someone to feed? Does it allow for his involvements to go up in terms of goals and assists? Because we've seen in the last couple of games, he's got an assist and a goal. Now, I'm not saying that now he's back by any means because he's had a poor season. And in fact, I think he's been our worst performing player in the first 11, Martin Odegaard. But he certainly isn't one of our weakest. So does that improve him? Does that raise his level? I think maybe it will. I think that when you've got a striker, like when you had Alexander Isak in front of him, I think Saka, Martinelli, and was it Jesus in 22-23? I think he got 15 goals. And if you remember, Jesus, he got crocked, yeah. But when you look at it, he actually started off really, really well. He had 3-4 months at Arsenal where Jesus looked really good. And we thought, wow, we've got someone special here. And then it just went to pot and it became a bit of a flop, really. And since then, he's had every injury under the sun. Is Gyokeres going to improve Odegaard? I think he will. I don't think there's anything in my mind that believes that he'll dampen his game. He can't get much worse than what he's played this season. So that for me is something we need to talk about. Martin Odegaard needs to improve. I'm sorry. That just needs to happen. He needs to improve. Make sure we hit like and subscribe, people. We've only got just under 750 likes. Let's get out to 1,000 likes, people. Come on, we can do that. That's really easy. There's still 2.7k in the building, which is mad. So let's go from there. Let's quickly talk about who we think's leaving in the summer. Neto's going in goal, so we'll need another goalkeeper. David Raya, there was some interest from Real Madrid, but it doesn't look like that's real. I actually saw Emi Martinez being linked back with a move with us yesterday because it looks like he's leaving Villa. At right back, we know White and Timber are there. At left back, we know it's going to be Lewis-Skelly and Calafiori. I don't expect another left back to come in, but it wouldn't surprise me if another defender comes in. I think they look at the moment like Yoel Harto is the guy that could be heavily linked with Arsenal as a backup player, and I'll be happy with that. And that's only, I think, if Kivior goes. Right-sided centre-back is still an issue for me, but I think they're going to use one of White or Timber, sorry. But I would like to see us go and get a proper centre-half in that can actually give competition to Gabriel and Saliba, who have played far too much football. Somebody like Diamande, somebody like Mark Guehi would be absolute dream, but I think we're probably looking at two players that want first-team football there. Dean Howson would have been a good shout, but he's obviously gone to Real Madrid. So... yeah, there's some young players linked with us at the moment. I imagine that Berta will try and find one of them, if I'm honest. In midfield, we've just spoken about Partey and Zubamendi. Hopefully Partey stays. Rice will be in that box-to-box. Marino will drop into midfield next season more, I believe. Odegaard and Ethan are there at the moment. Are we going to go for an Eze? Ryan Cherky mentioned, although I think Man United are linked with him. That would be really good. Ethan, I think, will definitely cover for Saka next season unless we were to go for a Brian and Mbeumo, which would be a really good signing for me. We want to go and get that left winger option in. We'll want to make sure that left wing option, of course, is a Rodrigo or Rafael Leao has been mentioned, or Lookman. And then you've got Martinelli and Trossard still there. And then up top, Havertz and Jesus will be back up to, hopefully, Victor Gyokeres. And then you're starting to look at a squad that's able to go and compete in more than just one competition, because Arsenal have tried to go and be competitive. But the last 3-4 seasons, we've only been able to compete in one trophy. We haven't been able to compete in a culmination. Now, in every dream scenario of season, you get to the new year, you're still in the FA Cup, you're still in the Champions League, you're top of the league or at least close to it, and then you can go all out for that Carabao Cup, which is the first one you win. Then you look at your position in the Champions League and FA Cup games, which are around the corner, but you're still in both competitions and still sitting strong at the top of the league. This is the dream scenario. Arsenal have not been able to do that. And then once you go through to the finals of those competitions, you can then start to win at least one trophy, not just, we might get one. You want to get at least two over your line then. That's the kind of dream scenario. The only way you're going to do that is by having a strong squad that can go on all four fronts. Arsenal ain't been able to do that for a long time, people. A long time. Like, I can't remember the last time we looked fairly competitive in all four competitions. I really can't. In fact, I think it was 2011. That's how long ago it was. And I remember it was a disaster of a season because we lost the League Cup final to Birmingham. We went out by Barcelona in the Champions League after beating them in the Emirates. We lost to Blackburn in the FA Cup. And then we threw the league away. So I remember thinking that season, I think we might actually win a couple of competitions here. And I didn't actually believe it was going to be the league that we lost. I thought that we could have won it that year. I remember thinking, wow, we've got a brilliant team here. 2008 was another season where Eduardo broke his leg, if you remember. We lost the league title that season by 3 points between us, Chelsea and Man United. And I remember thinking, after that Eduardo game, we drew to, I think, Birmingham, Villa, Middlesbrough. And that lost us it. Just 3 draws. So there's been times where we've been able to be competitive on all 4 fronts, but we haven't had that for a very long time. And certainly not in Mikel Arteta's reign, we haven't. I look at the scenarios that we've had in the last few seasons, and this season just gone, we were only going for the Champions League. We were out of everything else. Season before that, we were only going for the Premier League. And we ended up losing, to be fair, both that and the Champions League. Bayern Munich and Villa games, kaput. And that was it. We were only going for one competition. I just like to be a scenario where we've won an Carabao Cup and we go and win the league. Or we win a Carabao Cup and then we can go and win an FA Cup again, do a cup double. That's what I'd like to see Arsenal do. Like, I just want a trophy. And for me, minimum expectation is to win a trophy and go for the Premier League. That is my minimum expectation. Some people say, shut up, Dad. Got to win the Premier League or the Champions League or he's got to go. Fine. You support your club how you see it and you have your expectations how you want. Mine, and people call me very negative, are actually not as brutal as that. I would happily take a trophy, whether it's a domestic one or Champions League or Premier League, as long as we are competitive in the league as well. I do not want a season like Spurs or Manchester United where you win a trophy and come 17th. I'm not one of those people. I know Lee and some of the others say it doesn't matter where you come in the league. For me, it does. You have to be competitive in the league and winning, which is why Ten Hag and Ange and all that are getting laughed at the moment. If Ten Hag and Ange, when they won those trophies, were coming second in the league, they wouldn't be laughed at. Yeah? If Tottenham come second this season and won the Europa League, you wouldn't be laughed at. The reason they're laughed at is because they finished 17th, right? So if Arsenal will come in second next season, I'm not going to say sack him. I'll be disappointed because I want to win the league. But if he's won me a cup double alongside coming second, he's finally got us across the line. And that's how you start to build winning mentality. People always say to me, why do you want that dusty energy drink cup? Well, trust me, that dusty energy drink cup that's now called the Carabao Cup is one of the first trophies I saw us lift. Yeah, that's got actual some history behind it. The FA Cup, we've won 14 of them. I'd love to go and make it 15. We've won 13 league titles, but we ain't won one for 21 years. So when I look at these people that say, oh, we don't want those dusty cups, you can't be like that at Arsenal after not winning something for 5 years. We've won one trophy in 8, and the last League Cup that we won was over 30 years ago now. You can't do that, people. Like I can't stress enough how much I want a trophy at this football club. That's basically where I'm at now. And I never thought I'd get to the day where I was begging for that. But unfortunately, there's a lot of people that just want the Premier League. The Champions League, oh, that's going to be too hard. Just give me the Premier League. Support your club how you want, people. But trust me, do not laugh at trophies. Do not belittle trophies. Yeah? I appreciate it was easier to win the Europa League this year. I'm not stupid. But don't sit there and think, Tottenham done that. It's an incredible achievement. It weren't really. But the history books are going to say that Tottenham have won it. Yeah? Before us and more than us. The history books are going to be saying that in the time it's taken us to win a League Cup, I've seen Birmingham win it. I've seen Swansea win it. I've seen Wigan win a cup. We need to make sure that we're not, we've just had a season like them. Next season is the season I want to see us getting across the line. Now, I want to end with this because I do believe it's important. Arsenal aren't going to be the only team that spend this summer, right? I look at Newcastle. They've had 4 windows they ain't been able to spend. PSR's now gone. They're going to go massive. Manchester United are going to have to. You're already seeing their players they're linked with. Yes, it's not that exciting, but they're going to spend money because they have to. Tottenham are going to have to spend catch-up money. Now let's go to the teams that are going to be easily around us. Newcastle's one of them, I believe, next season. Chelsea are going to spend because they're going to go for a striker, a goalkeeper and a defender. That's going to give their spine something for them to go again next season. Liverpool are moving mad. And right now, if they get the players they're linked with, are easily going back-to-back, in my opinion. I look at the scenario of Wirtz coming in at Liverpool. I think they're going to go for a number 9. I think they're going to go and get somebody like Adam Wharton in midfield, on top of Gyokeres and Frimpong that are both signing, and Mamardashvili that's coming in to give Alisson a bit of a break because he keeps getting injured. Liverpool have got a brilliant chance of going back-to-back. Brilliant chance. Manchester City are going to spend, people. Yeah, Florian Wirtz. I said to no to them. That doesn't mean they give up. They'll go and get somebody else. They will go and get another winger. They will go and get another couple of fullbacks. Manchester City do it. When Pep Guardiola's tools are blunt, he isn't Sir Alex Ferguson. He can't get him across the line. So what does he do? He needs to go and spend more money. That is what he has to do. Now, whether you think that makes him worse or better than Sir Alex Ferguson, that's not the point. The point is they're going to be back next season because they're going to be getting loads of money. So Arsenal have got to. We cannot be linked with these players and not get them. We cannot not get across the line. We cannot stand still and allow these clubs to go and buy players ahead of us. We can't be linked with Gyokeres and Rodrigo and end up, with Semenyo and Sesko. We can't go and be linked with Alex Baena and Eze and then be linked with the next up-and-coming attacking midfielder from Flamengo. We can't be linked with the likes of Zubamendi, who still isn't here, by the way, and then go and sign somebody like John McGinn. Like, we have to now be realistic about where we're going with this football club. It's time to deliver. It's time to win stuff now, and it's time to lift trophies. That's where we're at, people. Yeah, I can't stress that enough. I think there's so many people that are like, well, it was too much money. I'm not having that anymore. Like, Arsenal have got to a Champions League semi-final. There's going to be a great opportunity for them. Like, let's just stop with this whole, it's going to be really tough. It's going to be really tough. Like, for me, we got to go and deliver. We got to go and spend. And Arsenal got to have a big window now. I'm sick and tired of every window we get excited. We're told there's a war chest. We're told to be excited. And we end up with Raheem Sterling on deadline day. Like, what are we doing here? Like, that was a window to be embarrassed about. That weren't a window to be proud of. Calafiori came in. He was someone that no one really thought we needed. Marino come in, and let's be honest, was someone that I didn't feel that we needed. I don't think you can then sit there and say that Neto and Sterling did anything that was to get us excited about. Now it's time, man. Now it's time. No more loan deals from Chelsea. No more rejects from other clubs. No more being a shelter for once abused players that weren't great, that now could be great here. No more Marcus Rashford links. I don't want to see Sancho linked with Arsenal. I want to go see us get Victor Gyokeres. I want to go see us get Rodrigo. If it's not Rodrigo, then I'll take a Lookman. I want to go see Eze linked with Arsenal. I want to see Zubamendi. I want to see us going in for players like Reinders if he's available. I want to see us going in for players that can actually provide us the level of platform to go just get across the line with these. Because that's where we were at a while back. If you remember Arsene Wenger walking in, people said he absolutely was so lucky. The only real talented, gifted, technically gifted player he had was Dennis Bergkamp, and maybe Paul Merson, who he wanted to get rid of. Ian Wright was coming to an end. Paul Merson, he didn't have much faith in. The back four, fair enough, it was already given to him. But on top of that, he had to go and say, right, how can I get this team across the line? And do you know the signings he made that did? Nicolas Anelka, Mark Overmars, Emmanuel Petit, Patrick Vieira. These are the guys that went, boom, ready. Not give it a few years and they're going to be brilliant. They were ready now. The first full season, Arsene Wenger won a double. We are there now. We're like, go win now. Not give it a few years. The process will be done in the next 5. Let's see what happens. Nah. Go. Go win a Premier League. Go and win the Champions League. I see Jason Cundy the other day saying that Arsenal's European heritage is a disgrace. I can't sit there and say he's talking rubbish. It is a disgrace. The League Cup has been 30 years without us lifting it. The League Cup. FA Cup's now 5. Premier League 21 years. Over 30 without any form of European trophy. And the only European trophies we've actually lifted is the Fairs Cup in the 70s and the bloody Cup Winners' Cup in 94. That's all we're looking at. We ain't looking at anything else. The European heritage is poor. Go shut them up. Go lift the one with the big ears. Go prove to Chelsea and Man City that they ain't bigger than us yet because they ain't got enough trophies. Win that European Cup and say, well, you told us that was counted for 5. So we're now all of our trophies plus another 5 ahead of you. That's what I want to be saying come May. I don't want to be having this discussion about whether we believe this manager's good enough, whether we believe the Cronkies lack ambition, whether we believe the board are the right people involved, whether we believe the fan base have got the right mentality for it, whether we believe these players can get us across the line, whether Mikel Arteta has the mentality. I don't want to be talking about all that rubbish. I want them to be going, there's your bloody trophy, there's your trophy, and there's your trophy. That's what I want to be saying. I don't want to see none of this rubbish about it all, man. So that's where I'm at. That's where I'm at. But big up to everyone that's here, man. Really appreciate it. This is going to send you over to the football terrace. Stay tuned. I'm on in about 30 minutes time. So make sure you go send over there. We've got nearly 3K in here, which is absolutely mad. So make sure you hit the like and subscribe. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for your chat. Thank you for your interactions. Thank you for your super chats. I really appreciate that. Make sure you hit like and subscribe. We're only about 60, what we know, we're 58 away from 1,000K. 1,000K? 1K, sorry, I should say. 1,000 likes. Let's get it to 1,000. We're at 942. So come on, people. Let's hit the like and subscribe button. Make sure you're getting involved in this Thierry Henry competition as well from Football Prizes. I'll put it on the screen now. It's literally just under £1 per ticket. You've only got 2 weeks until the draw. Please make sure that you let us know if you win it, because we have had a couple of winners before in here and on other channels that I've been on. Thierry Henry signed frame shirt. Everybody would want to be in for this. There's a lot of people I know getting into this. Let's make sure that you are one of the winners. Let us know if you do get it. Footballprizes.co.uk. Make sure you click on the link in the description, or just go to footballprizes.co.uk and you'll see it there. And make sure you enter, people. That'll be us. Going to send you over to the football terrace, where I'll be on. I don't know who I'm with today because LB's away, but it will be me, Terry, and one more. So we'll see you over there at 3:30. I'll send you over there now. Take it easy. We're out of here. And as always, up the Arsenal. Latest, people.